some questions from the people that
Mm-hmm.
lawyers mention that foreigners are being treated like Romanian.
This is my saying.
All of them, wherever they go, they
Mhm.
say this. And still they are not able to buy land,
Yes.
buy property here in Romania. What are the laws? I
Yes.
recently actually learned about it, but
Mhm.
I want to hear from you
Yes.
also.
Yes. So we can't talk about discrimination if a constitution of a country doesn't allow foreigners, and we are talking about non-European citizens, to buy land. This does not stop them from buying property, because we have to make a difference. Land is the actual soil,
Yes.
and property means soil and building. You can own a building, but you cannot own the land. The land, the soil on which it is built, the house or the apartments and so on, has to remain to a Romanian, either natural person or company. And I don't think this affects the people in any way, because in the end they are owners, they act like owners, and as long as, let's say, they incorporate a Romanian company and they meet the conditions, they can buy the land on the Romanian company and it is still theirs under the umbrella of the company, and the building belongs entirely to them. While for EU citizens it is a different scenario.
For example, I bought an apartment,
Yes.
right? Let's say a foreigner bought an
Apartment.
apartment. On the papers, on the
Yes.
contract, it's written also that this apartment contains a part of land as well. For example,
Yes, it's like a ratio of the land.
ratio of
Yes.
the land plus parking spot
Yes. So
from the apartment. That's a completely land.
yes, but if you have been in contact with some developers, or maybe you already bought a property from a natural person, but developers have already covered this issue, meaning they create different possibilities for foreigners to buy.
Don't you think that it's just
What's the problem coming from this? You act like an owner. You stay in the land. You park your car there. You can sell that property. So, of course, it's not the same, but it's not discrimination. It's just something that it doesn't happen only in Romania, but also in other countries where land has to belong to Romanians or to EU citizens.
yes? Once I heard on this kind of argument, I had very good answer from somebody. Said, if foreigners, especially not European Union, other
Yes.
people, start coming to Romania,
Okay.
gets established here,
Mm-hmm.
starts buying land,
Mm-hmm.
this region, this Romanian country will become a place of conflict.
This is for sure that it is the position that
The
makes
same-
us.
Yes, the same thing that is happening in Israel and Palestine.
I understand this comparison, but the reality is that it doesn't affect the candidates. The non-EU citizens, they are not affected by this. I don't see it like this, because this happens in other countries, not only Romania and Israel, in other countries as well. Land has to be more protected, and it is a way of protecting what belongs to the state from the constitutional point of view.
Right.
And they can own companies, as mentioned.
Yes, to buy a property on the company, any kind of soil, any kind
Yes.
of land, it's very easy.
Yes, so we
I
have
think
solutions.
There are solutions, of course.
Yes, or marry a Romanian.
But still, you're a
The land would be of the Romanian spouse and the building yours.
and spouse says that Larivedere.
Bye bye.
She takes all the land.
Yes.
You invested, she takes the land. And
It depends
run away,
what is more expensive, the land or the building.
you know. So there is always a risk
Of
for
course.
an investor. Investor will never invest the money on a woman. It's actually you are spending money on a woman, not on a land, right? Woman says tomorrow that I do not need this man anymore. Romanian authorities will kick that guy out.
Yeah.
Correct? And he loses what? He loses all the money that he brought from his country.
But he has the building. He can sell that part of the building. Anyway, yeah, it's a sensitive topic.
Very sensitive topic. You know?
I actually know an example of this. I had a client. He was a foreigner, non-EU country, but he was someone that worked on highly paid positions, qualified. He worked in hotels, like a director, and he married a Romanian woman. And whatever he gained from other countries when he went to work in the hotels, he sent back home to Romania to that woman. And she started buying properties and so on. And some point he said, I want to return to Romania. I don't want to work anymore. We already have so many buildings and apartments and so on. And she said, she didn't answer actually. When he came home, he went to his house. The lock was changed. He couldn't enter, and it was winter. And he came from a country where it was warm, and it was so cold. He didn't have clothes. The clothes were in the apartment. She didn't answer at all. He went to another apartment that they own. The same. The lock was changed, and so on. 4 apartments, no possibility for him to enter. And he had finally to understand that she filed a divorce, and she was after everything that he paid. Yes, and it took him more than 6 years to finish with the court cases to finally obtain part of what he invested.
And how did he had legal status here in Romania in this case?
He went back to work where he initially, if you are not divorced completely, you are a member of a new family member. It's okay. You have residence permit. If the divorce is finished, you have 6 months. You can obtain an independent residence permit, it is called, while you have the opportunity to convert it to another scope, and he converted to work. Yes.
So that's why that was the legal way for him. Otherwise, he cannot stay there anymore.
Yes, exactly. It's true. Or if he has the 5 years of permanent residence and marriage, he can apply for the citizenship, but he has to make sure he obtains it prior to the divorce, which is rarely the case, because such citizenship cases, and at some point we should talk about this as well, take around 2 year and a half until the candidates finally obtain their citizenship.
You know, once I have a friend who married to a Romanian woman. He stayed here for a long time. He's still staying here in Romania from a long time. Somebody gave him the idea that, why don't you apply permanent residence? You have this family card that's for 2 years. You have to change it and things like this. He listened to that guy. He said, okay, I'm from here on the family member card, but
yes,
since I have to change it over and over, it was 1 year at that time, or 2 years maximum. He went to the immigration office to ask them to change. You know what they said?
No.
They said, bring your wife.
Why? To say if they are actually living together?
No. He brought the wife. They told to the wife that, look, this guy is changing his status from being family to independent.
Really?
Would you allow him?
But this can only happen if they were already divorced.
No.
Otherwise, he doesn't meet the conditions for the independent residence permit, because you need the... for the permanent.
Residence.
Okay, I understand.
Not like normal independent. Permanent residence is...
I understand. I understand now. Yeah.
The wife said, I don't have a problem, you can change it, because they knew that...
Like an interview. He had to pass this interview with bringing his... I never heard.
Just the accordance of the woman that she agrees that he can change.
I can understand this, but I've never had this kind of cases.
You see?
But yes, it's very interesting, yeah.
Immigration took care of it. Okay, as we were talking earlier about the property and the company, what are the possibilities for the foreigners to get themselves stable on the base of company here in Romania?
Yes. So foreigners, non-EU citizens can incorporate a company. This is their right. However, once the company is incorporated, they cannot obtain work permit and residence permit on that company particularly, unless that company has at least 2 years from incorporation, profit, at least 1 Romanian employee hired, active contracts, like real activity. So you can't incorporate a company and obtain immigration papers on that company, as it used to be the case in, for instance, 2023 or 2022, when everybody was becoming administrator of a company or director of the company, and they obtained the documents and they left to other countries, and immigration said, well, this is not in accordance with the law, we have to change this, and we have to see if the activity is real or not. And this is what they are looking for. We can even diminish the 2 years to 1 year if that person has more employees, more profit on the company, if we have the means to justify why he should be in the exception and not in the rule of the 2 years.
There is a scenario now.
Mm-hmm.
I come from Asia.
Yes.
I start working for a company.
Mm-hmm.
Company make me a residence card, a normal residence card. I want to open a business. I open a company. How can I run a company if I am already on the mercy of somebody else?
Through employees. So you
I
can
have to
listen,
manage. I have
you
to manage.
No, but you can be administrator on the company, but you can't obtain the work permit and the
Yes,
residence permit.
Administrator. For
Yes.
example, I open a warehouse where I have to import things from Asia.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
My job is administrative
Yes.
on the phone. But I'm already an employee of somebody that
You
is
don't have the
asking me to
time.
work
Yes,
for 8
but
to
that
10
is
hours.
why you have to hire Romanian employees, at least one.
That's a different story. But still, 1 year minimum that I have to wait on the mercy
Or
of somebody
two.
else.
Or
Or
two.
two on the mercy of somebody else.
Yes, it's true. It's not a perfect solution. It's true. Things can be a little hard from this perspective, but also think about what was happening.
That is completely understandable. That I heard
They
that
had
almost-
to limit some.
I heard that almost 5,000 companies, active companies, people left,
Yes.
and they left the country to Western Europe.
When I started doing immigration activities, and I started a couple of years ago, more than in 2018 to be more accurate, there weren't that many that applied for such products. But in 2020, when COVID started and a lot of migration began to happen, everybody, no matter the nationality, no matter their financial status or their education, wanted this kind of products in order for them to obtain them and then leave. Even I was contacted by a lot of such people, and to be honest, I also did a lot of such immigration products, but I did my homework. I checked the CV of that person. I discussed with that person. I tried as much as possible to understand why does he want to incorporate the company. Are his or her intentions real, or is he just using this as a scope to live? And I did this just to protect myself as a lawyer, because I didn't want the higher authorities to believe that I'm part of a migration scheme and so on. And I've done my best, and to be honest, none from those that I've helped with company incorporations or such documents never left. Or if they left because their business was not doing good. But what was happening on the market, everybody was becoming administrator, director, used the documents and left.
Yes.
So it has to be a balance. Of course, what you say, it's not a perfect solution, but still the other one was also not very good.
For the authorities,
Yes.
actually.
Yes, because think how much money the Romanian government has to pay when they catch these people, because in most cases they have to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
They either catch them at the border or in another state. They have to bring them here. They have to put him in jail and so on. And the reality is that all these costs, who has to bear? The Romanian government. And why should the Romanian government bear this cost? It is simpler to put more strict conditions on who to become an administrator or a director and how you can obtain these documents.
So people cannot take advantage of it.
No, exactly. And it is also, this is one improvement that immigration office did. Another improvement was the impossibility of the candidate to change employer without him having the initial residence permit from the initial employer. If you remember, there was a time when you could have entered our country and you didn't go to the first employer.
Yes.
You already changed jobs.
Exactly.
And there were a lot of employers that didn't even have the possibility to see their candidate. And then immigration said no. If he obtained the visa to work in a certain company, he has to come and to obtain the residence permit, to obtain the release letter if he wants to change afterwards the employer. And it is perfectly fine.
Yes. It's actually justified. I normally give example
Yes.
of this thing that if you are investing a lot of money in your construction company, you bring 30 people, waiting for them for 6 to 7 months, in some
Yes.
cases more than a year. Those people come and you don't even see them.
Yes, and
Your project is in the middle.
also think that yourself as a company manager, you take contracts,
Exactly.
obligations towards other suppliers, other business partners, relying on a certain number of people. And if those people don't come, or they leave, or they don't work, because sometimes they don't work, think about the company, not what the company paid to bring those people, but what the company is suffering because of the lack of the people, or because of what is happening due to improper work of the
Exactly.
people. So we have to think always. I'm not saying that the best are the employees or the employers. I always think it has to be a balance.
Yes.
And while there are very good employers, companies, they are also very good employees. We just have to match them. And this is where we have an idea on how to match employees with employers, at least at the quality level that we consider to be the highest.
Yes, and of course, from here you can share the opportunity that
Yes.
we want to offer people.
The idea is as follows, that we as lawyers and also immigration specialists, because as you know, I am the head of the lawyers in Door to Romania, which is an immigration company, and we came up with an idea. There is a problem, meaning now our companies that are in the portfolio, more than 80 active companies with very good reputation, are struggling into obtaining manpower because of what is happening in the consulates. And you already know that visas are stuck, visas are rejected, and all this due to a story that we like to tell with Schengen. We have to reduce the number of people coming here to look good in front of authorities with Schengen. And this puts our Romanian companies in
One
a
step
very
back.
bad, yes. They cannot make any kind of provision on when they need, when they can have the candidates. If certain years ago or months ago we knew that in 6 months or 8 months we can bring their candidates to work, now everybody, at least the honest professionals on the market, cannot give any time frame. So with this in mind, what we thought about in discussion with our companies that we represent is that their need is still valid. They still need people. They still need foreign workers, but they can't obtain them from outside of Romania. And we thought, but we do have a lot of foreigners inside of Romania.
Yes.
However, everybody is neglecting them. Everybody is looking to bring from outside of Romania because of fees, commissions, and so on. And because we are not interested in this part, we thought that we can help our Romanian companies that are in our portfolio with putting them into connection to the expats or immigrants that are already in Romania, that meet the conditions and that they want to change jobs. And what we are going to do starting next Thursday, because we are going to have this podcast once per week, we are going to share in each podcast what are the companies that are looking for manpower, on what positions, on what salaries, what kind of candidates they are looking for. And if there are people listening to this podcast that are interested, of course they can share their CV, tell us what kind of job they are interested in, and we can match them with our Romanian companies. And this is very simple, but we have to check also if the documents are
Valid.
yes.
Because it's very important.
Very important. One thing is important to add. We don't promote companies that would pay them minimum average salary, because one thing everybody must understand, that if you hire a foreigner, you don't hire him because he's cheaper. You should hire him because he has more stability. He is more interested to do the jobs because he is working here for his family, he sends money home and so on, not because he's cheaper.
Yes.
So we don't promote the idea of the candidates being paid the minimum salary in Romania, and we are always in negotiation with the companies to give to the employees better salaries, better conditions, or even incentives if the candidates are staying and doing their job properly. What do you think? I call it Tinder for jobs.
Well, you should get hired some IT specialists.
This is what we are going to do. It's actually ongoing. It will be an app that will match the candidate with the employer needs, and that's why I came up with the idea.
And what you get out of it?
For me, I'm a lawyer. I am always doing papers. When a candidate comes to me, he can do the papers through me, and I will charge him for the change of employers, for instance. Yes. Or I don't even charge him. My interest is not only for me to gain money as a lawyer or as an immigration company, but to connect him to the company that I represent, because if the company that I represent is happy and they are growing, I am also growing. So as you can see, I have personally benefits from both ends, but also both the employer and the employee have the benefit. Employee has the benefit that he's coming to us, he's obtaining a job, we are doing the papers, so at least he knows that he will be legal and he will have a better job. And the employer that we are representing will be able to obtain faster the employees directly from the Romanian territory, and we are the ones doing their papers.
Nice. Impressive project.
Thank you. I hope it will be helpful for a lot of people that are in the situation of looking for a job, because a lot of them contact us and they are saying, "Ma'am, how can I find a job?" And I heard this question so many times that I think even when I sleep it's ongoing in my mind, and this is how the idea came, "Ma'am, how can I find a job?" The idea is that of course you can go to websites that are already doing this, like Best Jobs, eJobs, but the reality is that it's for nothing. As you know, a lot of companies put posts on those websites, or even AJOFM, right? Just to make the condition to go further and bring others from outside of the country, because they charge the commission and so on. And they are not particularly interested in hiring. They don't even look on the CVs. Another service that the company that I told you about, Door to Romania, is handling is improvement on their CVs. So we have a specialist inside the company. They are talking with the candidate. They ask him about his experience, what are his needs, what he wants to do next, and someone from the company helps that person improve their CV, and then the CV is shared amongst the companies inside the portfolio. It doesn't matter on what kind of activity he wants to do the job. It can be either restaurants, hotels, construction. We have a diversity of companies, and their needs are very, very high.
Yes, that's very nice. Today we'll end this podcast here. I hope that people who are watching this are getting a lot of benefit out of it, since I get a lot of positive reviews that the work that we are doing, it's very good, it's very helpful, informative for them.
They can put questions actually, and we can answer them next time.
Yes, if you have any questions or any suggestion for our improvements, or if we are lacking in any information, of course you are free to share. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.